Welcome everybody to another knee-slapping fun episode of HomeKit Insider. You've got me, Andrew O'Hara, and here with the original voice actor for the shark and the Shark Tank logo, it's Steven Robles. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I wouldn't mind doing some voice acting. I feel like I could do it. Maybe some Disney animated. Well, Alibaba had them 40 thieves shares. I'd have had 1,000 tails. Sorry, I like Aladdin. Yeah, you weren't expecting that.
I wasn't. I also hope you know that there is no talking in a logo. Like, it's just static.
Oh, that's true. So I don't know the voice acting thing. Anyway, I hope you still like my blanket back here. I have a blanket still behind me as the background. Have some sound panels coming in soon, but yeah, still here. It's a new studio. I can even change the color. Oh, did I tell you I got the Hue Sign Lamp? The Hue Sign Lamp.
You did. You mentioned that in the last episode. You did.
Well, I had the Hue Plays in here, and I was thinking about.
Oh, maybe no. You mentioned those. You did not mention the sign then.
That's right. And the sign, I was curious how to put it in here where it could like paint the wall with light like it's doing now, but be unobtrusive, and so it's basically hiding behind me. There it is. There's the sign lamp, and it's pretty cool. It's a fun lamp. You can change the gradient and everything. So. Maybe we'll talk about that some other time. But anyway, let's hit some 5-star reviews, and then we got some fun news this week. We got El Toro 101 from the USA. This was hilarious. Their name in the review was, "Every name was taken, so I picked this one." I don't even know how they did that, but they did it. Okay. They were from Ireland, which is awesome. And then Ricky Blues from the USA. Thank you for those 5-star ratings. Very cool. All right, now for our most fun segment of HomeKit Insider is when we talk about the piece of Apple tech that should really have a U1 chip and Find My built in, but doesn't, and so there's an entire world of accessories built around it. This is the name of the segment. It's very long. Andrew, tell me, you have something in hand. What do you got?
I do, and for frequent listeners or watchers of the episodes, a few weeks ago, I teased Steven with something and sent him a screenshot. He's like, we are going to talk about this. This is that item. And that is Nomad's new leather cover for the Siri Remote. Look at this fella. It is a full-on Horween leather cover for the Siri Remote. I've had it for a little bit now, playing around with it. Of course, I left the actual remote upstairs for this recording, of course. But a couple things to note. So it comes in rustic brown, only one color. I didn't think, weird names with them. It used to be like rugged something, but rustic brown, I think is what they call it, and no black version. You tuck an AirTag inside, and then boom, it enables it in the Find My app. And it'll roughly double, maybe a little bit more than double the thickness of the Apple TV's Siri Remote. So another benefit of it being like twice as thick is it's even harder to lose it. One downside is my wife says she can't throw it at me now because it's too heavy. So, that is a downside for some people. But I think it's a great idea. And it looks so much better than those stupid silicone ones that are out there on Amazon. Like, I hate them a lot. Yes. And the only downside for me for this, Steven, is the price point is high. Like, I think this is too expensive for, cover. But I really love the functionality. But by the time you buy this and you buy an AirTag, you're spending like as much as an entire new Siri Remote. This is $40 here at launch.
Yes.
And then you got an AirTag for $19. So they're expensive. I think that's expensive.
$60. Yeah, $60 to add a cover and Find My support. I will say I got one of those nasty Amazon silicone cases, like you said, for my Apple TV remote, and it's fine. It's rounded back, and so I guess you could say it's ergonomic. But it fits the AirTag. I wanted an AirTag, especially on the Apple TV remote that my kids use and lose. Whether it's in the sofa cushions or whatever. Just being able to ping the sound is like Apple. Next Apple TV remote, just let us do that. Just let us ping the sound. But no, we don't have that. So this is like, the high-end version of those Amazon knockoffs. Put an AirTag in a leather case. You got a leather-wrapped Apple TV remote. It's very nice.
I will say, apparently this is doing well because they're completely sold out. Like, they're on back order. Like,
Yes.
immediately. So like I saw them like, there's no way these are gonna fly off the shelves at $40 a pop. And then next thing I know, they're like out of stock. So unless they had super minimal stock and wasted it on very few orders, it seems these are doing well for Nomad and they're popular. So I think they're really cool. I just can't buy 4 of these for my house for every single Apple TV. It just adds up. And it also kind of brings up another issue with AirTags in general, which is the inability to share them. So I can put this on our Siri remote and I can find it, but my wife can't. So that part is dumb, but that's the problem with every AirTag accessory for your remote. But like this is specific, like, you know, you're a shared item. This isn't like my car keys versus Faith's car keys. Like this is a shared item, and there are times she's gonna be looking for the remote without me, and she should be able to find it with an AirTag, and yet that's like not an option. So,
but
Apple,
maybe
get on it.
Yeah, this
That's
episode,
software updatable.
Well, yeah, and this episode actually airs the morning of WWDC 2022. And so this is why, listeners, you got to listen, and watch this episode as you're waiting for WWDC to happen. And maybe that'll be one of the announcements. Find my improvements.
Are you telling the people who are actively listening and watching that they need to hurry and listen and watch this?
That's right. That's exactly right. Yes.
I feel like you should be telling other people who aren't already doing that action to do that action.
Fair.
I mean, if we're going to nitpick.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tweet it.
Fair enough. But I'm excited.
Yeah.
Hype next week's episode now. I mean, we're going to talk about HomeKit at DubDub. Like, there's going to be some stuff to talk about.
That's right. I am hoping that HomeKit gets that segment that we're hoping for, where there's lots of improvements. They don't just mention Matter, even though Matter doesn't exist yet. But we get some cool stuff. I don't know. Do you think we didn't really? It's not even in the notes. But do you have any?
Nope, not even in the notes.
Not even in the notes. But I mean, this is a last-minute prediction here, or last-minute want. What are you hoping to hear this afternoon as people listen to this episode?
I guess I would say once, because we really have nothing in terms of predictions, right? I mean, there's very few that we think we know. The only things we think we know regarding the home space is new lower-cost Apple TV. Gurman said Apple TV or tvOS is going to have some significant improvements into home integrations, which would be fantastic. Yes. For Apple to take this stuff more seriously. And then we've also heard all those rumors about a home OS that would run on like HomePods and like a HomePod with a screen and all sorts of like things in that space. We even heard possible resurgence of Apple routers. If any of that comes at DubDub, who knows? But I think the stuff that I want to see is higher resolution recording options for HomeKit cameras would be big. Improvements to object recognition and AI for cameras will be big as we get into the Eve outdoor cam review. I'll touch on that. I think those need to happen. Guest access for homes. Maybe people who are like on your Wi-Fi can gain access to a certain subset of accessories like lights and things like that, which would be handy. I don't know. We've talked about a few other things. I think there's still other stuff to go. I just can't think of it off the top of my head because, again, we didn't put it in the notes.
No, we didn't. And I'll just throw in there, someone actually mentioned this on Twitter, but better parental permissions in the Home app, because I have my 2 oldest sons. They have iPad devices. My oldest son has an iPhone now. And so if I've invited them to the home so they can have profiles on specific home pods, you can set this is the main user for this home pod, and it'll respond to them better, I think, or recognize them better. But also, I would love to just give access to common areas and their rooms on their home apps, not like our bedroom and like our master bath, lights and stuff. Not that they mess with it, but it would just be nice to know there's not an option to mess with it. So more granular room and maybe even zone control for the inviting people to your home. And that'd be nice. So we'll see.
Also 2 other ones. Ability to change security modes and camera modes through automations. So being able to set a scene that will change camera privacy. Super useful. That's not a thing right now.
Yeah.
Or trigger based on specific motion versus generic motion. Triggering scenes and automations.
That'd be good. Well, tune in. We'll see what they actually announce on next HomeKit Insider episode. We'll talk all about what we hear, hopefully at WWDC. Wanted to mention this.
And back to your original point, Stephen, the Siri Remote review is up on AppleInsider. Go read
Yes.
more about it if you care what I have to say. to the original point of that entire tangent that went 3 different levels.
Exactly. That.
Yeah.
Real
Anyway,
quick,
news.
news. I want to mention a new Wi-Fi router that has HomeKit support. This is the AmpliFi Alien. AmpliFi is actually the consumer line of Wi-Fi routers made by Ubiquiti and the Unify. I actually have the Unify network in the new house. I got their, power over Ethernet Wi-Fi routers that are like the little domes, and that's kind of like more towards the commercial side of the Ubiquiti lineup. But I actually had the AmpliFi little cube thing back in the day, and I really liked it as a Wi-Fi router. It did mesh. You could do like little mesh points with the antennas. And the Alien version of the AmpliFi is kind of their higher-end consumer-level Wi-Fi router. And now that has HomeKit support. It got it in a software update. Nice to see a new Wi-Fi router with HomeKit support. I still had never heard that my Linksys Velop system that I used to use, that high-end one, the MX5300, I don't think that ever got HomeKit, even though it was promised. But, yeah. No.
Those still don't have HomeKit yet. The new Eero routers that I like, the ones with 6E, the Pro and the regular consumer ones, neither of them are getting HomeKit support. They don't have it and will not be getting it specifically. And these AmpliFi Aliens, it's not out yet. I don't believe, Steven, unless I missed an update, but I think it was just rolling out like beta testing. So it's one of the beta testers of the new firmware like screenshotted it, and it touts HomeKit support built in now. So it seems like it'll be coming out in an update soon, assuming it makes it through beta testing without issue.
Okay. All right. We'll see. Another piece of news, SmartWings has now come out with a new roller blind for the exterior. So these are outdoor roller blinds. Let's say if you have like a patio or a sitting area outside, you can actually get these like large format smart blinds. And again, I've now entered the smart shade world with my Eve motion blinds. I love it. And this kind of does the same way. There was one question actually about blinds that I'll answer as we do this news. This was from John Perrin on Twitter. He was asking, how are the blinds powered? Because we talked about different shades and blinds before. The Hunter Douglas shades have like a removable battery, and you like charge it and then you put it back in. The Eve motion blinds that I got, and what looks like this is a also does it this way, is there's a built-in rechargeable battery. And so like the Eve motion blinds, there's a little USB-C port on the blind up there, and that's actually how you charge it. You could take the whole blind down, plug it into a USB charger and do that. Or like what I do is I have a power bank, like a Mophie thing, and it has USB-C, and so I just plug that into the blind and I could charge it that way. This one, this new exterior one from SmartWings, you can charge it, with the port right there, and it also has a solar panel option, so you can put a solar panel and mount it next to this shade that's outside, and it'll just stay charged with the solar panel, and that seems like a real convenient way. I know one of the cameras I have has a solar panel. I think you have an Arlo solar thing. I love that option. I think it works great.
For the Eve ones, they also include like a 6-foot or an 8-foot USB-C cable so that you can reach it to an outlet. Like assuming you have one within that range, I did for most of mine, but it's nice that they think of it to like include like a super long charging cable if you have an outlet nearby.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll put a link to the SmartWings one. This is pretty cool. Exterior shade options for your home there. Now, also new news. Well, we already talked about this announcement, but now it's official. The Sonos voice assistant is now launched and available on certain Sonos devices. You can say, I don't know, is it safe to say this one? Is it, people probably don't have this on their things yet. You can say, hey, Sonos. Maybe I left enough space there where it doesn't activate it. But you can say that now and now talk to the Sonos voice assistant. I've not got a chance to try it. Have you installed this on any of your Sonos devices?
I haven't tried it yet. I know the update came out, but we had like 3 different comparison videos on YouTube AI this week, which notoriously take forever to film. So I'm behind on basically everything as I'm trying to get these videos out. So, fun times.
Well, let us know if you put this on one of your Sonos speakers. I think it's available for most, like the Sonos One and the Beam, and you can then tell
Probably
it to...
any current ones that have a microphone, I would say, got this,
Right.
would be my guess, because I don't have it in front of me.
and then you can ask it to play music, and it'll, on a specific speaker, and it'll just do it. So let us know if you have experience with it. I'll try to install it on one of my beams or something, and try it out. Do the Hey Dingus, but not the normal one. Anyway, before we get into more news, let's take a quick break, and we thank our wonderful, faithful sponsor, Nebbia. But this one's going to be different because I actually bought a new Nebbia product with my own money, and I used our promo code because I did get a discount. But they didn't send it to me. They didn't do anything. But I've been wanting to try this accessory from Nebbia, and it is the Quick Dry Earth Mat. And man, let me tell you, I did not know what to expect. I didn't know what Quick Dry Earth Mat meant, and so I bought it, got it from Nebbia, and I got it out of the box. And it's not like a soft mat. It's not like fuzzy or like squishy. Like it's a hard, like surface. It's a hard thing. Like it's a stiff board almost. And so I was like, I'm not really sure what to think about this, but I put it outside the shower, and I don't know. I've never tried this kind of technology before, or whatever it is. I don't know what it's made out of, what kind of moon material. But when you step on it, when you get out of the shower, it like soaks the water like out of your feet. Like I don't even know how to describe it. Like it feels like it's just like pulling the excess water, not in a bad way, like in the best way possible. And like I stepped on it, grabbed my towel, stepped off of it. I see my footprint there, and in like a minute or so, like it's gone. Like it disappears. Like it just dries so quickly because it's a quick dry earth mat. So whatever the material is, it actually feels kind of cool when you step out of the shower onto the quick dry earth mat. Like whatever that material is, it turns into like this. I don't know. It's this fascinating experience. So anyway, Nebbia showers are amazing. They help you save water. The Nebbia by Moen Spa shower, it's height adjustable. It's got the magic wand. The Quattro is amazing. You've heard us talk about the showers. Get the showers, but you should get the earth mat too. It's pretty cool. So I just wanted to mention that, and it's a lot of fun. My wife liked it too, and she was like, "I don't even know what this is, but it's fascinating, like how quick it dries." And yeah, so it's fun. You got any questions? You got any questions about the quick dry?
No, but I looked up what this is. Basically, it's made of diatomaceous earth. So if you have a pool or have worked on pools, you would know what that is because it's a super fine sedimentary rock that's ground up into this powder, and it basically absorbs and can help pull out all these contaminants from your pool. So it's very like absorbent, more or less. So they basically just took that and made it into a mat, so it like pools your water. That's crazy. That's such a cool. I've never seen a use for that outside of pools before. I'm like, what? Yeah. Diatomaceous earth mat? Okay.
Yeah, so it's really cool. So obviously get their showers. They're easy to install. I switched on my shower head. You get to save water. They come in great finishes: white chrome, spot resistant nickel, matte black, black and chrome. But once you add the shower to your cart on Nebbia.com/HomeKit, then also add that quick dry earth mat because it's really cool. And you get a discount on it when you use our promo code as well. So Nebbia by Moen Spa Shower starts at $199. HomeKit Insider listeners, you can go to Nebbia.com/HomeKit. Use the promo code HomeKit, all one word, at checkout. You get 10% off all Nebbia products, including the Quick Dry Earth Mat. And again, Nebbia has partnered with us for a long time, and so we really appreciate it. Nebbia.com/HomeKit, Nebia.com/HomeKit, and promo code HomeKit to save 10%. It's fun. You should get it. It's really cool. I sent you a little video the other day because we were talking. I actually Slacked you, and I was like, "How do you add a LG Smart TV to HomeKit?" And I bought a new TV for our living room, 65-inch LG, like the WebOS, base model, nothing fancy. But on the box it said HomeKit, and I was like, "Cool, this is like HomeKit TV. Let me add it to the Home app." And so it is pretty convoluted how to get to this thing. You basically have to go to the home dashboard on your LG TV. You have to go to AirPlay. There's like a little block that says AirPlay. And once you click AirPlay, there is a HomeKit segment. And so I went to the HomeKit segment, and the HomeKit code shows up on the screen to scan it. And I was like, oh, perfect. I go to scan this code, Andrew. And every time I scan it, it changes numbers. It changed the number. It changed the QR code every time I scanned it. And I said, I don't know what's happening. So then I did the manual entry where when you add an accessory to the Home app, you can do, accessories nearby. It showed the LG TV, tapped it, put in the number manually, still changed. Every time I scanned this code, it changed. And so I went on Reddit, as you do. Some said, reset the TV to factory settings. Oh, let's check if there's a software update. I did all of that. Still the same thing. It is the most maddening experience trying to get this LG TV, and I still have not been able to do it. It just every time no, I still haven't done it. Every time I try to scan the thing, I reset it. I did factory settings twice. It changes every time. Like, it is the most maddening thing. So anyway, this is a call to LG WebOS TV owners. If you have successfully added, which a couple of people tweeted at me, they're like, "Oh yeah, I got it in my thing, no problem." I don't know what's up with my
mine
TV.
worked okay without cycling codes. So,
bro. Also, for some reason, the CEC communication doesn't work on this TV. This might just be a lemon of a TV, but like, it's mounted on the wall now, and I'm like, I'm not going to bring this thing back to Best Buy because the TV doesn't turn on and off with the Apple TV remote. I have LG WebOS TVs in 2 other rooms. Those work fine. Apple TV turns on, TV turns on. Apple TV goes to sleep, TV goes to sleep, works everywhere else. For some reason, the CEC communication is like messed up on this TV. I don't know, man. I'm probably just going to live with it because it's already on the wall and I don't want to deal with it. I put my Hue Play lights on the back of the TV already, and so like, I have scenes. Basically what I've done now is I've created HomeKit scenes that turn the TV on or off using the Logitech Harmony like app that I've talked about on the Mac to put it in the Home app. It's the most ridiculous workaround, but yeah, I don't know.
And your goal is to live with that.
Listen, bro, it's on the wall. I threw away the box. I guess if I just bring the TV like naked into the Best Buy, will they let me return it? I don't know.
Probably. Or swap it for a new one that's not broken. I will say, I had a WebOS TV in the past before I switched to the new Sony, and I probably wouldn't buy another one after owning my last one. The WebOS was really funky, and it like crashed several times, just like watching TV. Like, I'm watching TV, and all of a sudden it's like crash, and then like reboots. I'm like, oh, that's cool to have the operating system on your TV crash while you're watching things and reboot your television. Like, that's something you typically only see in like Apple Studio Display. Like, it shouldn't be a thing that happens. And it was just real finicky to do things. I did have no issues connecting it to HomeKit, and HomeKit was one of the few good things about it that worked well because you could control it through the Home app and all of that stuff. But yeah, after that last one, I was like, no. The reason I had gotten the LG in the first place was it was one of the few that had Dolby Vision HDR, and I really wanted that instead of like HDR 10 or 10 plus, anything like that are garbage. And Sony and LG were like the few that had Dolby Vision, and Sony's were more expensive. So I went with the WebOS LG, and I just didn't, like, the picture looked good, but I still had issues with that. So now I'm on a Sony, far, far, far superior television, much more reliable in everything. The only issue we randomly have is sometimes it won't recognize the soundbar. It'll like switch back to the internal speakers and then maybe go back to the soundbar. Or I have to like hit the menu and pop it up and switch it real quick. Only minor annoyance, but far better. Now I'm just like lusting after some sort of like OLED TV because like the blacks still aren't super black, and I'm like, look at that bloom going around, and
I saw those OLED TVs at Best Buy, and they are beautiful. They look amazing. The blacks are amazing, and like I see the LG WebOS TV I have now, and it's like I just see all the light leakage. I see the blooming, especially if you turn the lights down, like in the room. Like if you're watching a movie, it's like I see it all. But
exactly. I know, and what's like funny is like we'll look at photos. Like my wife especially, she does a lot of photography, and we'll be editing photos, or she'll be editing them like on her iPhone or iPad with, you know, these amazing, amazing displays, like on an iPad Air, iPad Pro, or something. And then she'll like cast it up to the TV, and as good as this TV is, as nice of a 4K Dolby Vision HDR TV this is, it's still LED, so the contrast isn't there, and it just doesn't look as good on the television as it does on the iPads. We're like,
yeah,
such a bummer. You know, there's that discrepancy.
I think I'm gonna return it. I think I'm gonna go return that TV. I'm gonna just put it in my car.
Don't stick with a broken TV just because it's on the wall. and then you have to
Yeah.
use logic or harmony to get around it. And
I know. And it's annoying the whole family because like if Siri doesn't do the scene properly or the shortcut doesn't run, then they have to go get the LG remote from the entertainment center. I know this is like first world problems or whatever, but it's annoying when my wife is trying to do a workout from the Apple TV and she just can't get the TV on. And she's like, "What remote now do I use?" I was like, "I really just wanted it to be the Apple TV remote, and that's it." So I'm gonna return
yes,
it.
plus if you have HomeKit, then you can just tell Siri to turn on the TV. Like if for some reason it didn't turn on
Yeah.
correctly, even if the CEC didn't work, you'd be like, okay, well, Siri, turn on the TV, and boom,
Yeah.
done. Like no futzing around.
No futzing. I don't want to futz. So anyway, I'll return it. We'll see. All right, now talk to me. You have a full review of something, and I also have something. It's still in the box, but I also got an Eve outdoor cam. Thank you, Eve. They actually sent it out to me because I wanted to try it. But you have the full review. You've been trying this now for real. Tell me about it.
Okay, so pros and cons across the board with this, and yeah, the fault that I have, I don't place blame with Eve. It's on Apple. So basically, right now I have this still mounted on my deck, facing my backyard, and the goal was to replace my Eve floodlight cam and reposition that one. But in the interim, I wanted to put them both there so that I could get kind of a comparison on how they both do in different situations. And image quality night and day, floodlight levels, motion detection, all that kind of stuff. And I found a few things. So first, the brightness is not as bright as the Eve floodlight cam, which does make sense because the Eve floodlight cam has that whole like
Wait, are you talking about the
arced
Nitakmo floodlight
front.
cam? Or the Arlo?
Arlo floodlight cam.
Arlo. You
Yeah.
kept saying Eve compared to the Eve. I want to make sure we're talking about.
Oh,
So you're
the
comparing
Eve
the
floodlight
to the Arlo.
cam compared to the Eve outdoor cam compared to the Arlo floodlight cam.
Got it.
But the Arlo has that curved front with like two beacons of light kind of on it, or just really wide along the front.
Right.
So it is brighter. The Arlo is brighter than the Eve one is. So I started to like, okay, do I want to stick with this? Do I want to change it? I'm not sure because it is brighter on the Arlo. The second thing is it is such a toss-up with notifications because on one hand, I really like the ability with HomeKit that you can mute notifications like per person. So if it sees me on the camera in the backyard, it can not notify me, right? Because I don't need to know that I'm there. I do know that already. So that's beneficial. But the Arlo does not do that. And sometimes I'm like, man, I wish it could because I don't want to get notified every time I walk out there. But at the same time, the Eve one seems to miss notifications. Like I'll walk out in the backyard, or my wife will walk out in the backyard, who I don't have whitelisted yet, and I'll get notifications through the Arlo, and I won't get them through the Eve one right away. Sometimes I don't get them, other times like I do, but they're like a second or so behind the Arlo one. Now I have it set up so that anytime motion is detected, it like records, but I only get notified for certain things. So everything is being recorded, but it's like
Could you say that again? My apologies.
I forgave you.
Hey, Sonos.
I basically just want the object recognition, the AI, to be better. Because I think that's where it's failing. Because it's recording this video, sent to the Home Hub. The camera is detecting motion as it should, and then it's saying like, cool, I got some video. What do you want me to do with it, Home Hub? And the Home Hub looks at it and goes, yes, that is either a person, an animal, or a vehicle. Send a notification out. But sometimes the Home Hub's like, I don't know, it just looks like motion to me. Record it. Don't tell them. So you could change it to be notified of more motion, and that would solve that issue. But this is something that we saw with exactly your floodlight cam floods you with notifications instead of just the glorious light. So that I think it purely falls on Apple and their Home Hubs and the object recognition, the AI, to determine what's there and when to send those notifications. And this has been a common complaint with other HomeKit cameras, like the doorbell cameras that had similar faults doing that were HomeKit Secure Video. So I'm just still hoping that Apple improves this. Like, the hardware is there on Eve's end. The hardware has been great. The floodlight is very bright. It's super awesome to be able to control it. I love just being able to turn it on and off super easily. Just tell Siri to turn on the floodlight camera, and boom, done. It's amazing. But I just want that AI to be better at detecting and properly reporting things. Again, I like that everything does record, which is fantastic, and we have unlimited cameras, and the image quality in HomeKit is the same for the Arlo as it is for the Eve. That's great. But yeah, it's just Apple's AI stuff is lagging just a bit.
I have noticed that with the Logitech Circle View doorbell camera that I have now, because I had notifications turned on for like people, vehicles, animals, and packages. I was like, send me a notification for everything. And I quickly realized that's a terrible idea. I needed to turn off all of that because it thought like everything was a package or like everything. Like I was getting notified all day, whether there was something there or not. And it can't even like see low enough to see where packages are delivered. So like every package notification was wrong. Again, not Logitech's fault. This is HomeKit Secure Video doing it. So I turned off package detection. And then animal detection. I live in Florida. You can blame me for that. But like mosquitoes. Yeah, mosquitoes and like flying insects. I understand those are animals. But when you have a light... when you have a light on at night in Florida, there's going to be swarms of bugs. And even just that little light on the doorbell, which I think you can disable, and I should just turn it off for the Logitech Circle View doorbell, that little light attracts enough bugs where I was getting notified that an animal has been detected. An animal has been detected. And it's something just flying across the thing. And like I'll go to the recording and I just see a blur. You know, it's nothing actually that means anything. So, yeah, the AI can definitely use some work, and maybe I want an option of, like, animals over 5 pounds or something. I don't know, something that will eliminate bugs from being detected. But, yeah, all of that is
you can adjust the sensitivity with this one in the Eve app. So, theoretically, I could, like, tone down the sensitivity and then turn it on for, like, any motion and try to go that route. And then you're kind of bypassing Apple's recognition aspect before notifying you. So that's a possibility. But
well, so this thing, I mean, I'm excited to try it out. I'll mention it a little bit when I do. But when you're looking at HomeKit Secure, you haven't tried the Netatmo one, right? I forget.
No, I have not.
No, okay, because that's the only other HomeKit Secure Video only option. And so I don't know. Maybe if listeners have tried the Netatmo and are curious, you know, because this is kind of the direct competitor. The Eve one is a little less expensive. This is like, I think, $250 compared to the Netatmo's $300. But I'm excited to try it. And you can also program the light to only activate when there's motion at certain times, right? So if you just want the light to have, 8 p.m. to midnight or something, light turns on for motion.
I believe so, like after sundown, whatever, that kind of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, well, very cool. We'll put a link to Andrew's review in the show notes. Of course, check out the Eve outdoor cam. It's pretty cool deal. Pretty cool. All right,
I guess that goes back to our HomeKit or our WWDC wish list that we had. By the way, so I did Brian Tong's like Apple Blitz XL podcast a couple weeks ago.
I saw that.
And one of the things that we talked about on his show was Apple's ridiculous home model, and I just want to give it like a little bit more recognition because it's super cool. Like that entire house that's been cut down the middle, that has those glorious camera shots as they like jump up to like the second floor, then the living room, then the kitchen. Like they must have built that entire thing for the smart home. So clearly Apple is devoted to the smart home if they built that massive set on a sound stage somewhere, just keeping it ready for its keynotes. So let's hope we see it next week.
And hopefully we see a bigger HomePod in one of those rooms soon also, or HomePod with screen. We'll see. It'd be nice. All right, so we had an email from a listener, Jake DeGroot. He had sent us a lengthy email, very detailed, about some switches, three-way information, and we waited too long to mention it, but we wanted to mention it here. And so, Andrew, can you remind me, like, what he talked about a lot of stuff here, very detailed. What does he got going on here?
Yeah, so Jake emailed us about 3 years ago, I'm pretty sure.
Before we started the show.
It's been a little while. But He gave us a ton of insight on switches and dimmers that was really fascinating. And a lot of what he came down to was talking about the Leviton switches that Steven's been using and how good they are. So he laid out these pros and cons that I just found interesting. So I thought we'd go through these real quick. So he really likes the design of these switches. I agree. They do look very nice. He has these brilliant and thoughtful feature no one talks about. So let's talk about them. Dimmers can be set to turn on to a preset default level or their most recent level. Super useful. When you hit those, they automatically go to those like predefined levels that can be very nice to customize. They offer wired 3-way switch equivalents, so you don't have to rely on battery-powered remotes everywhere. We kind of talked about that with you, Steven, and those issues. Not opening that can of worms, though. They have customizable timing for fades in and out per dimmer. That is such a neat feature of being able to customize how quickly the lights turn on and off, like fade in and out.
Yeah,
no one else is doing that kind of stuff. They have LED indicators down the side. Those are configurable, so you can change what they mean and how they work. Another super nice thing. Connectivity, Wi-Fi based, no hub necessary for those. Price. He has this whole spreadsheet that he spec'd out and compared them to like Lutron and the Leviton. The Leviton stuff is sold in a much more straightforward way with fewer complex packages to understand, which ends up making the pricing totally nonsensical for Lutron. And then he attaches pricing grid, but really competitive between the two. And he likes that the Leviton app and HomeKit sync more clearly than the Lutron app does. Yeah. So, yeah. He has a few cons that he mentions, which is he says the Wi-Fi connection is about 90% good as the Lutron's hub-based, so it's maybe not as reliable as the Lutron, which we've talked about. Lutron's connections are freaking rock solid. So 90% good of perfect is still quite good. Dimming curve is not great. That might be a specific thing. I do not mind their curve of their dimming. Physical size of the device, he says, you wouldn't think it's matter much.
Yes.
The Leviton dimmers are quite big and fill up electrical boxes pretty easily, which you can probably attest to as well.
And I wanted to mention that because I had many 3 and 4 gang. Well, I had one 4 gang, several 3 and 2 gang boxes that I was trying to put smart switches in, and it does matter, especially with where the new electrical wiring is, where there's like 5 wires per switch. There's so many wires back there. Many are hard copper, like not very flexible, especially when you're dealing with like the neutral and the ground stuff, and trying to fit multiple smart dimmers that are deep. It's not that they're wide, because obviously it has to fit in the width of a single switch to replace even a dumb switch, but the depth of some of these smart switches, I have found the Lutron ones are a little less deep, probably because they're not having to connect to Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. It's that Zigbee connection to the hub. So Lutron is one of the more shallow kinds, but the Wemo switches and the Levitons are very deep, and there were multiple times where I had to like really shove all these cables in there, hoping one doesn't disconnect as I'm shoving it in there. And even then, like really using the screws to like kind of push them the final way back into the wall. And a couple times, like they're not like perfectly even because it's just so difficult. So yes, depth does matter, but you're going to deal with that with a lot of these smart switches. And I will say, to the reliability, obviously Lutron, so rock solid. I have found that the Leviton ones are very, very good. And comparing them to Wemo and Maris, the Maris switches are good on connectivity, but I have actually found their clickability is not as good as I would like. The Maris ones, sometimes I get like false positives where it will make the clicking sound but actually not turn off the light. And so if you try to do it too quick, or you don't kind of like intentionally really click it, sometimes those Maris ones don't click really well. And you only notice this by like living with them for a long time. So that's the only knock on them. Their connectivity is good. It's just that clicking is a little weird. Those are Wi-Fi, no hubs. And the Wemo ones, the Wemos are good connection. I do find that clicking the Wemo to just turn it on and off, again, not as reliable as the Leviton or Lutron. Sometimes I get like, I pushed it, but it didn't turn it on yet, and so I kind of have to intentionally click it again. And they had firmware updates on my Wemo switches, And that was a nightmare. Like some of them I had to factory reset in order to update in the Wemo app because it wouldn't update with the Home app specifically. It had to do the Wemo app. One was like flashing red on the dial, even though it was connected in Home and the Wemo app and the firmware updated, it was like flashing red for a few days and then it just mysteriously stopped for no reason. So the Wemo ones are a little funky, and I will say I've not really had issues with the Leviton ones. They've been solid. They click, solid the first time, and I don't have to think about re-clicking it. Connectivity has been good. Haven't lost connection to any of them since we moved in. So I think, Jake here was spot on in a lot of his critiques and his pros.
Yeah. So thank you again to Jake for sending that over.
Yes.
Sorry it took so long to
3 years.
get through that.
Yeah, it took 3 years.
At least.
We're so sorry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Two quick follow-ups before we go. One, Tom Kane tweeted at me, and he was saying he has the Eve motion blinds, and he also struggled with that initial setup of the bottom and top position. We talked in the last episode how you can set the bottom position or top so it doesn't like go too far down and kind of like crinkle up. You can set where the bottom is. And I showed on the last episode, if you watched on YouTube, youtube.com/HomeKit Insider, the app like wasn't working. So I factory reset my Eve motion blinds, and instead of adding them to the Home app first, I used the Eve app to add them. And when I did that, it walked me through that initial setup process. And so I was able to set the bottom, set the top. There were no errors, and then it worked. So if you have struggles with it, you probably need to factory reset. I messed up the first time I factory reset, and I was hitting the up arrow like, oh, here's the top position, a little more, and then it flipped over, and it went too far. And I was like, oh, shoot, maybe it'll just be smart enough to know I didn't mean to go that far. And so I set the top position, and then I tested it. I was like, close the shades. It went all the way down, open the shades, and it went all the way up and going at the top. And I was like, messed it up again. So factory reset it a second time, set the bottom and top points, and now it's good to go. So yes, setting top points, set it up in the Eve app first if you have problems with those. And
now you kind of mentioned this really quick too when you did yours, and Tom mentioned in his, he said he orders his purposefully about 6 inches too long, and you were mentioning like, oh, I know I measured that height exactly like 3 different times when I ordered them. Yeah. When you do order like smart shades, they are always going to give you extra length like for these reasons so that you can customize it. So you don't have to add 6 inches on there and like you measure exactly, but they still add on that extra length. So that way, just depending on where you mount it, maybe you have to end up moving up a little bit higher, something like that. But because you can set that bottom, they're giving you that extra length because they're purposely going to always want you to set the perfect height, top and bottom positions on it. So you don't have to have it like exactly on. So when you're doing these, measure your length and they will add a little bit to that. So that way you have that control. You could drop it down over that front lip if you needed to, whatever, unless you specifically needed to cover a larger gap, which I feel like would just be then your measurement that you're inputting and not having to add extra inches. So you people are safe just measuring their opening that they want to cover, and they will automatically add. And that goes for Eve or Hunter Douglas. I just ordered some Lutron ones. They come this weekend, Stephen. Got a new set of large Lutron ones that are going in our basement. Big window. They're going to get covered. So that's going to be fun to install.
Very cool. That is fun. All right, and last thing before we go, last week we talked about the color HomePod. What is the ideal color to get? The black one shows dust. The white one might show stains. And we had a bunch of people tweet at us. Some emailed us pictures. A lot of people were like, just take care of your white HomePods and they stay pristine. And, we got pictures and emails. People were tweeting at us and all that kind of stuff. So others had the nightmare stories that were like, yeah, I have kids and this is what happens. And, there's like stains on them and all this kind of stuff. So love seeing them. It seems like if you want to be safe and not worry about possibly staining or getting a gross HomePod, a navy blue, like Andrew said, or one of the orange or yellows might be safer. The white one is going to show stains. The black HomePods, like I have a big one right here on the desk. It's a little dusty. It shows a little bit of dust, but it doesn't look like stained or dirty. And so we'll see. I have a small white HomePod mini in the kitchen where there's grease and smoke and cooking stuff. And so I'll report back in a few months and we'll see what it looks like. Did
You
you
need
see
to go
any?
out and buy a second white HomePod so you can compare it after it absorbs all the grime.
Well, I do have another white HomePod Mini in our master bedroom. I did put one in there just for Siri commands. So that's on my nightstand, and I will be able to do an A/B test, kitchen versus bedroom, what has happened, and the kids, they'll use the kitchen one, but it'll just be speaking to it. They never touch the HomePod, so well, it should be a good comparison. We'll see the durability of the kitchen versus bedroom white HomePod. We'll see what happens. So anyway. Good show. Let us know what you think. You can keep sending us your pictures of gross HomePods. I really want to see a nasty one. Like, I want to see a white HomePod that is, like, barely recognizable. That's what I'm hoping is out there. Don't be embarrassed. You can tweet it at us. Tweet at Andrew and myself. Our Twitter handles in the show notes. Watch this on YouTube, youtube.com/HomeKit Insider. You can watch all the episodes there. And give us a 5-star rating and review in Apple Podcasts. We'll give you a shout-out on the show. Thanks for listening, watching. Catch you next time.